and welcome to a very special episode of Press Turn. It's just going to be me today. My name is Sam, if you don't know that yet. And Our first guest today is technically my boss at Geeks Under Grace, LJ.
Well, how's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a volunteer organization, so not technically, but yeah, it's a whole complicated thing, but it's it's all good, man. We're glad to have you and to have you contribute
oh,
to the
thank you.
site.
You didn't even have to do that. I did not tell him to do that, by the way. That's his volition. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, I guess like I don't know. Maybe if I make fun of your favorite Smash character, that'll be different. But yeah. Speaking of which, at the time that we're recording this, it's um, it's like a week before the next Nintendo Direct, which will most likely
Mm,
have news about the final two characters, or at least the next character. And obviously, people are speculating already. Um,
mm.
One interesting one I noticed was after Sephiroth got announced, people were saying maybe Eggman would be the next one, which I think like
Uh,
that'd actually be kind of cool. To kind of keep in with
yes.
like villains are now getting more representation in
Hmm.
this version of Smash now. So
I would love that. We need more villains, and Eggman would be perfect because he's got so many robot forms he could use or something. Like he could be a weird fighter. Like they could get weird with it, which is cool.
oh man, that just made me
Mhm.
think you could literally for Eggman's final Smash just do all the robots from like Sonic
Yeah.
1 or something
Mhm.
and incorporate that. Oh man, that'd be
That'd
so
be
sick.
sweet.
Anyway, not important. We're not here to speculate, but we can if we want to. Later anyway. But
Yeah.
yeah. So this is kind of the new format for guests. So I guess we'll just start off with asking you what you've been up to. And actually,
Oh,
real quick, just introduce yourself. Just a short thing.
yeah. So, my name is LJ Lowry. I go by Warhero LJ on all the social media platforms. Um, but yes, as Sam was mentioning earlier, I am president of Geeks Under Grace, which is nonprofit organization. We cover all kinds of pop culture from a faith based perspective. Um, we have a lot of written content and stuff like that, and we have our own podcast, and we have a Twitch stream. Somebody streaming every night of the week. But I personally, that's kind of just a passion of mine. But I personally work at on the facilities team at my church. But also, I'm into niche hobbies like like virtual photography, which is the art of taking photos in video games. Big gamer, obviously. I'm into probably second interest right there would be movies. I have a ton of movies, and then like I would say art and like comics are kind of in there somewhere too. So it's kind of like those all those things are kind of my bread and butter. Um, so yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell, really. So you want to know how what's been going on for the week?
Yeah. What you've been up to since this is your first time on here?
Yeah. So this week in particular, I've been covering some cool stuff for the site. I can't really say. So it's kind of weird because these two things, it's like there's certain things that's under embargo, obviously, but there's stuff that I think it's a known quantity. So I have an article coming up for the Ninja Gaiden Master Collection, which I mean it's the Ninja Gaiden trilogy,
Mm-hmm.
like so there's like people who know what they're getting there, and then I just started covering Guilty Gear Strive, which is cool. Um, so like again, I think that that's a known quantity there because of the beta. So like I could probably talk about like certain things regarding the beta and the way certain characters fight, but like I think it's just one of those things that like it gets iffy because like that's just kind of like I think there's certain things obviously they're like story and stuff and stuff
Yeah.
and stuff like that they don't really want being talked about yet or like video footage and stuff like that.
No,
So
yeah, for sure. I mean,
yeah,
we'll dance around that when we have to, but
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But
Um,
that's for a later topic. So.
yeah, yeah. The most recent thing actually I've really been getting into is I just started Resident Evil Village a couple days ago, a couple nights ago.
Oh, okay. So you've been
And,
getting into that
and
now.
yes, and
Okay.
that's kind of one of those things where it's like before bed I'll play like an hour or two every night. Of course, of course, I'm not letting that get in the way of my other obligations. But that game is super cool. The way I describe it is basically if the Resident Evil team was trying to pitch for a Castlevania game because it basically feels like Castlevania set in the Resident Evil world to me.
Yeah, I've
Um,
been hearing that comparison being thrown
yeah.
around a lot, and like it's interesting because for me personally, I haven't played that many Resident Evil games. I
Mm.
played only a little bit of the remake of one, um,
Oh, okay.
and then I believe I finished Revelations, or at least played up to a certain point where I could say
Okay.
I played that game uh, quite a bit.
Right.
Um, Finished seven for sure.
Oh yes, I love Seven.
And unfortunately, I've only finished the Leon A campaign of RE2 remake. I do
Oh,
want to get back
nice.
to that though. But
Yeah, I never got
man,
to. I did the Claire A. I need to do the Leon B.
yeah, the
Um,
B campaign is definitely much harder. It's crazy.
shakes things up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like like when I was playing through Claire B the first time, I gotten to a point where I was pretty much at like the last boss
Mm.
and realized, oh, I can't actually beat it because I don't have enough ammo. I use too much.
Oh,
So it
interesting.
was just like, oh shoot. And I was playing on
I
normal
feel like I
difficulty
ran in.
too.
I feel like I
So
ran into that back in the day with Resident Evil 4. I was on a boss fight and I just didn't have enough ammo to finish him.
yeah, so it's definitely like it's kind of interesting because
Mm.
Resident Evil 7, I never had to worry about ammo. And
Mm.
I would say that it kind of kills a lot of the tension when you never have to worry
Mm.
about ammos. At the
Yeah.
same time, kind of realizing, oh, I probably should have been more conservative with my ammo,
Yeah.
so I didn't come up to this point because
Yeah.
I didn't even have a proper
Yeah.
save point to go before. So now it's just like, oh
uh,
no, I have to start over. So
yeah. So with 8, it's definitely like 7. You can craft ammo. You find it all over the place. Ethan Winters is a gangster. Like that dude, like he takes a beating. His hands get obviously like in 7 he gets one hand cut off, and then in 8 he gets the other one cut off. But somehow he just takes that first aid stuff, pours it all over his stump, and reattaches his hand and checks it. Like okay, make sure everything's working, and like okay, I'm good. I can keep going. And I'm like, I want to know what this dude like. He's got to be superhuman or have something special about him because that dude can take a beating. I
yeah,
aspire to be Ethan Winters.
oh yeah, it's wild. Like
Yeah.
when that when his leg gets cut off in
Oh, that's right.
RE7,
I
and
forgot about that
And
too.
Jack just gives him the first aid fluid,
Yeah.
and
I'm like, how
you're
does this
also
happen?
like uh, he says a naughty word,
Yeah, yeah.
but it also made me go like, wait, what? And the fact that they never acknowledged it was just so weird to me. And I figured, oh,
Yeah.
that's just a video game thing. And then going into 8, it's like, oh no, okay, there's clearly something going on here.
Yeah. Like, and I've heard there's things that they reveal later on, but it's just like, this dude is a machine. Like, he just does not die. Like, I was just, I laughed at that. I was like, this is such a video game, like, and
Yeah,
I'm okay with that. So, Resident Evil's been good.
yeah, that's for sure.
Um, the other big thing that I did last night is I went to go see A Quiet Place 2, which is really good. A sequel. It's a sequel to the first Quiet Place from John Krasinski. Horror movie stuff.
Hmm.
Um, basically, they got to be quiet because these monsters are going to kill them. Part two is so good. It picks up right where the first one left off. And this is one of those movies that like I saw and I'm like, okay, we don't need a sequel, but I would love one. And then they announced the sequel and I'm like, okay, I'm on board. And so finally when I saw the sequel, I said, okay, they did justice to the first one and it definitely feels like another part.
Okay.
So, it was kind of, I guess it kind of fit because I was already in the horror element from like Resident Evil and stuff. So I watched that last night and that was
Yeah.
super cool.
That's
Mhm.
actually good to hear because I saw a trailer for Quiet Place 2
Mhm.
and that trailer definitely kind of made me go, that doesn't seem to make sense considering the premise for Quiet
Right.
Place for the
Yeah.
original. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, if you're saying that they actually managed to fulfill it
Yes.
pretty well,
Totally.
then yeah, okay, that's good.
Have
Uh,
you seen the original?
Actually, I have not.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, I'm pretty much a coward when it comes to horror game, to like horror games, horror movies, and
Oh,
stuff like
okay.
that. It really kind of depends. I probably could watch A Quiet Place though, just to appreciate um, like the acting performances and the cinematography though.
Yeah,
So,
cause like I'm the same way about horror movies. It's like if they're using gore as a shock factor, and if they're using all these other horrific things as a shock factor, then I don't really care for horror movies like that.
hmm
But like a Quiet Place one, or the movies are these movies in particular. Like obviously they have horror elements because there's aliens after them and stuff. Like, and there's the whole gimmick. But it's not one of those things where they're gonna throw pools of gore at you and like make you like watch people getting tortured kind of a thing. Like
oh, okay,
it's well written horror like stuff, and it's like it definitely has jump scares and stuff like that. But it's one of those things where the gore and just the scary effects are not necessarily the highlight of it, even though like that is a part of it. So it walks the line very nicely. So
okay,
it's
that's cool.
something that's doable.
Yeah, because I mean, like, what was it? I watched the '80s version of The Thing
Oh yeah,
quite a
yeah.
while back. Um, and to be perfectly honest, it's like I love that movie.
Mm,
Uh, I would find it very hard to watch it again, just because like, and I think it's mainly. Oh, jeez, excuse me. Very rude. Um, like something like The Thing, at least
mm,
that version of it. The whole tone of it uh, is very downcast, and it's almost to
mm.
the point where it's like very oppressing. But
Right.
and to add that on top of like a lot of the honestly really good practical effects with
Mm,
like the puppets and the dummies and everything, while really good, it just like um, it adds up on top of that, on top of like the whole tone of that movie as well, which makes it a really good movie just to experience at least once.
cool.
Because it's like it's one of those movies where it executes all aspects of cinema in a
Oh,
really
nice.
nice package. But it's like you're either gonna love that kind of stuff or hate it, and that's also kind of why like I'm personally avoiding the of the Dead series because I know those movies are good visually, and they have really strong acting performances too by some of
Mhm.
the actors, especially I forget the name. I forget the name of the character or the actor, but the main antagonist in Day of the Dead, the one that takes place in
Mm.
Florida. Um, but it's just like that movie in particular is just like so much of post production on top of the practical effects sells a lot of the moments in that movie where it's just like this is rough. And
Yeah.
I saw some of those scenes too and it was just like, yeah, no, I can't see that movie. I can appreciate those effects, but no, that's like too much almost.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Cool.
that's cool and
That's kind of
all,
it.
but that's
That's
not
kind of
why
it
we're
for me.
here. We're here to
Right,
talk
right, right.
about fighting games,
Hmm.
forget all this other nonsense. Forget Lady
I
D.
mean,
No,
what have you been up to this week?
uh,
Anything cool?
well, not too much, unfortunately. Been slowly going over um Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne HD.
Oh, nice.
As people who've watched the podcast, and as unfortunately Derek and the other guys know, uh, SMT Nocturne is like one of my most favorite games of all time.
Mm.
Um, so the article I'm going to be doing, which is going to be continuing the series Art of Remaster for the
Mhm.
site, I'm kind of I'm kind of like picking at it bit by bit.
Mm.
But haven't spent too much time this week, unfortunately. Uh, but yeah, like I will say this: if you want to play a JRPG uh, like S like something from the SMT series,
Mm.
at least for this one, I would strongly recommend getting the PS5 version or the PC version instead of the Switch
Mm.
version.
Okay,
Unfortunately,
yeah, you said the Switch one was rough, right?
yeah, it's bad. Like
Oh.
and I mean there are some things that are unavoidable, like cutscenes being at their original resolution, which I think is about like
Oh, wow.
480p or something, but can't really do anything about that without putting in extra work and
Mm.
going by some of my observations of the Switch port. I think Nocturne, while it seems to have had a sensibly much larger budget than I
Mm.
think remasters would normally get. I still think it was a bit. I think it was less focused um, on like the visual aspect and
Mm. Okay.
more focused on things like rewriting the script, hiring voice acting.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
but that's not to say that some of the work that they did in the visual department is bad. I would say for the most part, it's actually really good.
Hmm.
It's just that unfortunately for the Switch port, uh, it has some pretty large dips in performance,
Mm.
which is kind of to be expected. But at the same time, I'm also like uh, looking at how Persona 5 Strikers performs on the Switch.
Mhm.
I think anyone who is like keeping up with Atlus's games on the Switch would
Right.
have expected something more.
Hmm.
Um, but that's about it.
Okay, cool.
I don't want to talk your ear off too much about it. This is more something that I can really talk to Derek about. So
Right, right. That's cool.
yeah. Other than that, let me think. I haven't played too much of it, but I did dip back into Power Rangers for a quick second to
Oh,
kind of
yes.
catch up on some characters.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, I haven't tried out Ryu and Chun Li, who
Hmm.
dropped most recently.
Yes.
I was trying out Scorpina and the Samurai Red Ranger mainly.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah, which was like just a while ago, but yeah, I mean, game still continues to be good, honestly.
Hmm. Better
Like,
than when it came out, too.
oh yeah, definitely. And I think, and something I'm kind of remiss about, looking back on that article I did for it, uh, I think the online is really good there too.
Hmm.
Surprisingly, it has rollback netcode,
Yeah.
but I think at the time I wasn't actually able to confirm if it had it or not.
Right. I
Um,
think it was rough. It was definitely in a rough state whenever it came out.
yeah, but yeah,
But now it seems to be a lot better.
yeah. Oh no, absolutely.
Hmm.
I think like I think people who enjoy um, hyper fighting games like the Marvel vs. series or
Hmm.
like Tatsunoko versus Capcom or something like that would really enjoy
I never
this
got to
game.
play Tatsunoko. I really want like a port
Oh
so I
man,
could play
yeah, that's
it.
when you think that like okay, now we don't need any more Nintendo ports. There's always something else. So it's just like, oh no, wait, no, Tatsunoko versus Capcom, of course.
Licensing
Xenoblade
sucks
Chronicles
with those
X.
games too.
Yeah, it's gonna
And
be
yeah, I
rough.
would love to
But
play it because that's stuck on the Wii, and I never got to play it. So,
hmm
but yes, I think people who enjoy those kinds of fighting games will enjoy Power Rangers for
yeah,
sure.
oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then the last thing, well, this is kind of like an ongoing thing, but just been playing Metopia on the side as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, fairly similar to Tomodachi Life. As they
Tomodachi was
were,
cool.
yeah. I mean, both those games were on the 3DS before.
All right.
And I think like going off of just how fun and accessible Metopia is, I think a Switch port of Tomodachi Life would fit right in there. Um,
Oh yeah.
if they ever could, I think Tomodachi Life would require a little bit more work just because of the voice modulation that they
Mm,
do for that game.
yeah.
But other than that, just just like a fun, chill, kind of Dragon Quest ish type of game that doesn't require a ton of effort to get into.
That's
Um,
cool.
and the character creator is amazing. Oh my goodness, just
Yeah, I see people making all kinds of like other characters from other stuff, and it's amazing. I'm like, how do they do that?
yeah. So the thing is, the character creator, it's essentially like Photoshop, where you
Whoa!
mess with layers.
Wow!
So like all those neat effects and details that you wouldn't think would be possible for some of those
Uh-huh.
Miis that people have been creating. It's all layers and a
Wow!
lot of just creative thinking of like, okay, like these eyebrows can be used as sort of like additional face details and stuff
Oh,
like
okay.
that. So yeah, it's really cool. Like uh there are some Street Fighter and like and a couple of Tekken faces that are roaming around right now too. Like
Nice.
I have Q in my party.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's a tank, which unfortunately isn't a very good uh, class. And when I say tank, I don't mean like the RPG tank. I mean
Mhm.
literally a tank. Like Q right now is dressed up in a cardboard suit that makes him look like a tank. Um,
Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah.
That's
So
great.
yeah, the classes are pretty funny.
That's cool.
But yeah, also a lot longer than I was expecting too.
Hmm.
Like I defeated the Dark Lord. Turns
Mhm.
out that wasn't the final boss, and
Oh,
I'm
wow.
essentially in part two of my continuing adventure. So
Wow. That's
yeah,
super cool.
yeah. So I think like all things considered, while not necessarily full price, I think the current the current price for Metopia right now is very much justified for how much content
Oh,
you can get
nice.
there. So
That's
yeah,
cool.
like $50, I think. But yeah, um, yeah, that's basically it. So now enough about that. Now let's talk about fighting games.
All right.
LJ, uh, teach me Virtua Fighter. What do I don't
Okay.
know?
Well,
Aside from learn how to beat low punch.
I'm no expert, Virtua Fighter. So Virtua Fighter has been kind of a part of my fighting game like childhood. So like I cut my teeth on like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter 2, back in the day on the Sega Genesis.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm a Sega kid. I know a lot of people. I've noticed there's a strong ratio of Super Nintendo over Sega, Nintendo over Sega.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up with a Genesis, grew up with Street Fighter, grew up with Mortal Kombat. And later on, I feel like I feel like there's also a even less ratio of people who owned a Sega Saturn um, back in the day. So
Oh wait,
I
you
got
owned a
started.
Saturn?
Yes, yes, yeah. My brother and
Whoa.
I had a Saturn.
You know what? Props, cause
Yeah,
man, let me tell you, there are some games on there I would love to get my hands on.
I loved it, man. Like we played we had like Daytona USA, Virtua Cop. Um, get this. So, Tomb Raider is very much known as a PlayStation game, right?
Hmm.
I first played Tomb Raider on the Saturn.
Oh, there
It was
was
on
a
a
port for the Saturn. That's news to
yeah,
me.
yeah. There was a Saturn port,
I'm looking this
and
up right now.
I think there was a Saturn port of Symphony of the Night even as well, which we didn't have. But oh man, yeah.
What was the Symphony of the Night port? Japan only?
I don't know. I've actually heard. I think there was certain effects that the Saturn port had that the PlayStation port didn't even have. From what I heard about that.
Huh. Okay.
I don't remember though. I didn't have some. That's one I didn't have. But yeah, that's where I watched my dad and brother first play through the original Tomb Raider. That's super cool.
Yeah. Wow,
Uh,
this is wild. Tomb Raider 1 and 2 on the Saturn. Whoa.
wow. Okay, I didn't know two was on there. I definitely knew one was.
Oh no, never
Yeah.
mind. There was a Saturn port planned for 2, but then it got
Okay.
shelved. Okay.
Right. When the
Okay, that
Saturn
makes more
probably
sense.
went.
But yeah, no, still
Yeah.
man, learning new things every day still. Huh.
Yeah. So, with that, like one of the first games, like when we got a Saturn, my brother was like, we wanted Virtual Fighter, because our thing was we would get a console for Christmas. Christmas was the big time where we would get a new console.
Hmm.
So we got that. I believe our first games were Virtual Fighter 2 and Virtual Cop. Which Virtual Cop is basically a light gun game.
Oh, Virtual Cop.
Yeah, Virtual Cop. Yeah, Virtual Cop was basically a light gun game, kind of like House of the Dead. But Virtual Fighter 2 was that's where I got started with it. It had that very polygonal look to it. So it's one of those things where it's like I'm sure at some point when Tekken came out, I know there's a lot of people playing Tekken, but
Hmm.
I would say I was playing Virtual Fighter with my brother. In a lot of ways, I feel like those two series are very comparable as far as like the 3D fighting in the 3D space and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
If I remember correctly, like pretty much everyone was comparing Tekken and Virtua Fighter as kind of like who will come out on top for 3D fighting games. And
mhm.
then Soul
Yeah.
Edge came out, and then people were just
Yes,
like,
that's right.
"No, Soul Edge, baby, what's this?"
Yeah, yeah, and so Virtua Fighter 2 was cool. But then and so I also learned about this through like they were doing those retrospectives on YouTube over the
Hmm.
weekend. And so I learned that there was multiple versions of even 1 and 2 that came out like versus the arcade and console because then Virtual Fighter 3 was also a part of my childhood through the Sega Dreamcast.
Hmm.
So and I had a Dreamcast as well. Again, not a popular console, but I loved the Dreamcast. It was so cool. Had a lot of good games on there. Um, so yeah, I mean, it was really a part of my fighting game history. I missed 4 because I didn't have a PS2, but I never owned a PS2. So then 5 came out, and my brother had that on 360 and stuff like that, and so we played a lot of 5. Like me and my brother. He's a bit older than me, but fighting games like I always did fighting games with him. And then so Final Showdown came out eventually, and I still played Final Showdown on my Xbox One because you can get that. You can actually buy that on Xbox One. And so I was so excited about Final Showdown the announcement for Final Showdown came out, and I'm like, you know what? I said I'm gonna buy this game day one no matter what. And then even better, it came to PlayStation Plus. So I'm like, oh, I don't even need to beat this. I don't even need to buy this game. They're just gonna give it to me. So, yeah, I'm a huge Virtua Fighter fan. By all means, I'm no expert, but even fighting Dural, it's one of those things. It's like that's one of the only bosses I think you can permanently lose to in a fighting game, as far as I know, anyway.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, I mean, as far as I know, there are definitely gaps in my knowledge, but um, the final boss, you can lose to her and you have to restart over again. Like you can't just hit continue and keep fighting her. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
you're talking about the hard reset game over. Man, that's
Yep.
crazy. Oh man, was it only Virtua Fighter that did that type of
I'm
thing?
not, Unless there's other fighting games that I'm not aware of that did that. A Virtua Fighter is the only thing I can think of
No,
that when you
I don't
yeah
think
the
so
whole
because I mean I'm not sure if Dead or Alive ever did anything
I don't think
like
Dead or
that.
Alive did either, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah.
wait, no, didn't Soul Calibur do that too? If you lost against Inferno?
Oh, you know what? You might be right. I don't remember. Soul Calibur was another big one. Actually, Soul Calibur was also one of the first games that we got on Dreamcast. That was another big fighting game that we really got into.
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I My nephew is extremely loud. But yeah, he just screamed like he was powering up into Super Saiyan.
Oh goodness.
So, but basically, yeah, Virtua Fighter was my jam. I still like it's one of those things where I still remember some of those moves to this day. There's always the backflip. There's always the input for the backflip kind of attacks with like Jackie and Sarah and Kage, and then even El Blaze on Virtua Fighter 5 has one now. Like it's I used to always love doing those backflips against people, or at least my brother in the computer. But
Yeah, I mean like for me personally, like when it comes to fighting games, I like like back when I was a kid, it was really only just like watching my brothers play Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter.
oh yes, yeah,
But then playing on my own, it was mainly like King of Fighters actually. Um,
okay, yeah,
because basically what happened there was like I think I was at my cousin's house, and then he was just like, "Hey man, check this out," and then he took me over to their computer, and then
mm,
he ran. I'm sure you might know this, neorage.exe, and I
I've
just
not
went,
heard of
"What is
that.
this?" Oh, you've never heard? Okay, so
I have not. I've heard of like Mugen and stuff, but like not Neo Rage.
as for many other people, I'm sure, Neo Rage is probably like a lot of people's first exposure to a lot of the SNK library,
Okay.
because a lot of those arcade games, you didn't really see too many of those in arcades, at least where I lived.
That's interesting because I used to see like on like even at the pizza places I used to go to, and back when I was a kid in the arcades, there would at least be one SNK machine that would have like three games on it, maybe four or
Yeah,
so. Yeah.
but it would mainly be like maybe one of the sports games, uh, a fighter that's either Samurai Showdown
Mm,
or one of the King of Fighters, either like
yeah.
96 or 98, and then
Yeah.
Metal Slug,
Or
always.
or 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 and then or even like bust a move or something like
Yes,
you know
bust
it'd
a
be.
move, of course, yeah, because they basically just showed that for free.
Oh yeah.
Because that game's ROM is so small. I think you could fit it on any like chipset, and it would still
Yeah.
run better.
Yeah.
But yeah, like no, Neo Rage was an emulator,
Okay.
uh, like way back in the day.
Yeah, I do know
Um,
emulators. That was just one I was not familiar with.
yeah, but that was basically how I learned about like King of Fighters, Fatal Fury,
Ooh, yeah.
and then just seeing that list of like 100 games or so, and just being like, well, okay, what's this? Garo, Mark of the Wolves?
Oh, that game is so good.
Yeah, and then checking that out, and then basically just being like, well, okay, I mean, this is free stuff, so I may as well just check all this out.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm pretty sure there are still games on that old ROM set that I've never touched,
Oh,
but like
probably.
but that's basically how I learned about a bunch of the Neo Geo games.
Mm.
Now cursing myself for never learning about the Neo Geo Pocket and not asking my parents to get me one instead of the
Oh
Game Boy
yes,
Color that they got me instead.
yes.
Not that I not that I dislike the Game Boy Color or anything. That
I never got a chance to review that collection that came out, but that SNK versus Capcom game is so good.
yeah,
I love it. I love it.
surprisingly good. But here's the thing. So that SNK versus Capcom game, it's a portable
Uh,
title, and you would normally think
yeah.
that can't work on a portable, like not back then. But the thing is, the Neo Geo Pocket Color had analog sticks. It
Whoa.
had an
See, I didn't
analog
even know
stick,
that.
and
Oh, wait,
apparently,
yes, I did. I,
and
after I looked.
apparently, it's good. Like it's a
Wow.
good analog stick, and I'm just like, and now I'm just sitting here going like, I was robbed. I was robbed of a different childhood that could have
That would
been
have
my
been
own.
amazing
Yeah.
at the time. My little mind would have been so blown.
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy, but anyway, to bring it back to Virtua Fighter real quickly. So the point was, so yeah, like as a kid, I mostly just grew up knowing King of Fighters and the Marvel vs. series,
Yes.
and then like in college, basically after watching Evo, my interest in fighting games like grew back again,
Mm,
and then was just like, okay, like what's the new stuff? What have I missed so far?
right.
Um, and then I think DOA 5 came out
Okay.
around that time, and and then learning about the crossover with Virtua Fighter that it had, and uh,
There was a crossover.
yeah,
Oh, with the characters, the roster. Yes.
yeah,
Okay. I was like, I
Jackie
thought
and Sarah Bryant, Pai
my
Mei.
mind almost went to a separate video game, but yeah, I
Oh
was like,
yeah,
wait, yeah, but the characters, yes,
yeah,
I know what you're referring to.
Jackie and
Yeah.
Sarah, Pai Mei, and Akira
Yes.
were in DOA 5,
Yeah.
and like I gotta admit, those characters were a lot of fun to play with. Just like even in just training mode, I basically just
Oh
lived in
yeah.
training room and just being like, okay, what are these moves?
Yeah.
Sarah Bryan was personally my favorite
Mm.
of those Virtua Fighter characters, just because like she had like really cool stuff with her stances and kicks,
Mm.
and she had like a similar kick flourish that I mean her and Jackie both shared it, but it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
very similar um, to Rig
Uh.
and Zach, who
Uh.
at least in terms of like their kick moves. So,
Mm.
uh, but yeah, and just being like, man, these characters look so cool. Why why are their voice lines so old though? Like,
Yeah.
because
Even the sound effects are still kind of old. Yeah.
yeah,
Like.
well, because apparently like they basically just ripped that audio straight from VF5 Final Showdown.
Wow.
Because I guess they couldn't afford to
They
re-record or
re-record them or
something, which was weird.
or maybe didn't have the original files or something. Obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, that's cool though. I do remember them being in DOA 5 now that you mentioned it. I geeked out about that at the time.
yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah. Now in terms of Ultimate Showdown, while I can't personally say I'm like super hyped. I originally was very excited until I found out that it wasn't coming to PC. Rip.
Oh yeah.
And that like oh okay cool, like this is a chance to at least try uh Virtua Fighter,
Mm.
but then like you know you started hearing about kind of like the awkwardness of the launch and everything,
Mm.
some of the uh some of the issues that happened with like trying to understand what exactly the netcode was for Ultimate Showdown,
Mm.
and Sega not really offering like a clear answer I would say, as to like
Mhm.
what exactly that would be. Um,
Yeah.
unfortunately, learning just days earlier from this point that they're calling it delay absorb netcode, and just going, oh no.
Yeah, if they don't have the proper language for it, then that means it's not what it needs to be.
Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, not rollback. But as far as I can
Yeah.
tell, it does seem to it does seem to perform a bit more consistently compared to other delay based netcode for fighting games. Like I don't know if you know too much about it, but apparently, what Sega did was they they're essentially renting out data centers from Google to
Oh, wow.
to kind of be the middleman for any peer to peer matches.
Oh, okay.
So uh, so while unfortunately the frame delay is always going to be an issue depending on certain regions, it does
Mhm.
mean that there's more consistency with the matches. Like you're not going to see the frame rate fluctuate second to second during a match, which is good.
Right. Yeah, I don't think I had an issue with it because I did play a couple online matches like super late on Monday night when it came out. And like it was one of those things where I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it. Like I've still been playing this game on the regular, and it seemed fine to me. Like I remember a little bit of lag, like a very small amount, but it was great. Like I even won the first couple matches I played in that game. I was like, okay, I feel solid now.
Nice.
So I mean, it didn't seem that bad to me, but then again, I hadn't like it wasn't like full launch yet, so I haven't had a chance to get back online since then. But it sounds like it's similar to what they originally did with like Final Showdown, because I remember the way Maximilian was describing it on his stuff,
Hmm.
and he was talking about how it is weird, like how it was weird like that, and he was talking about how like it's very region based and how close you are to other players. So in his mind, he said like, well, if there's going to be more people playing Virtua 5 than ever before, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So I'm hoping that's the case and that it's going to be it's going to be like okay, even though it is delay based, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember hearing that too because from what it looks like, there's like a map going around showing like the number of data centers that are established in each region. Um,
Okay.
unfortunate, unfortunately, meaning like there's like the entire continent of Africa, for example, has like nothing. If there were people playing
Oh,
over there, uh,
right, right.
so it's like, or well, rather, it doesn't necessarily mean that Africa will never get a match. It's just that
Hmm.
any match that happens with with a player that's playing from Africa is going to be
Hmm.
extremely delayed,
Oh yeah, yeah.
because their closest data center is going to be uh, like one in Southeast Asia or something like that, if I remember correctly.
Wow. Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, because that's the other problem too, is that like while these data centers are taking a lot of the brunt
Hmm.
of frame of like of like the of like the fluctuation of how data packets work and
Hmm.
kind of compensating the loss that happens when these signals are sent around. Uh,
Yeah.
not necessarily to do with like a player's Wi-Fi or anything like that. This is kind of like just
Hmm.
as a broad scope. Um, what what this means though is if there aren't enough centers physically established
Hmm.
in every area, this means that there are this means that there's no way to address there's no way to address like improving connection
Right, right,
with other regions. So
right.
it's like, and the problem
Man, that's rough.
like forget other countries. We struggle that alone in the U.S. Like
Hmm.
like West Canada and California would be fine, but California to like Florida, New York, even
Yeah, like the Midwest parts of the continent are like, especially in rural areas, like yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be more difficult for those areas that do not have any data centers nearby, or just like the dead. There's gonna be dead areas for sure.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it sounds like.
It is a little worrying too because the Sega seems to want to push an esports scene. Like that was part of their official announcement.
Right,
Like
right.
back in 2019. Um, and it's just like, well, like, what's that esports scene really gonna look like globally?
Hmm.
Or
It sounds like
or
Sega needs to hire some proper people that know what they're doing
yeah,
and know the esports scene. Like
yeah. I mean, that can unfortunately that can kind of be said for almost any company that has a fighting game
that's
right
true.
now.
That's
At
true.
least, well, any fighting game that's not indie, anyways.
That's true.
Indie fighters are basically just going like, well, well, we gotta have this, and the documentation is
Yeah,
free, so yeah, why not? Let's
yeah.
just shove it in there. Which is kind of like in a way, I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of happy with how things are progressing because it doesn't necessarily mean like we're gonna get AAA fighting games with better online sooner, but
Right.
also but it means that like oh there's more of a chance for more indie games to flourish,
Hmm.
where it's like like before COVID, don't want to give it too much credit, but like uh, forcing a situation where a lot of things have to be taken online
Yes.
now, kind of just realizing you know uh, like hey guys, your online infrastructure actually matters a lot. Like it's like Call of Duty didn't succeed just because of it being a popular genre. It's also because those games, uh,
They keep you
even
connected.
yeah, and I mean, they've had their share of bad problems too with
Oh yeah,
online,
yeah,
But
yeah.
over time, like they just got better at
Hmm.
making those online matches more consistent, never having to worry about you know, like do you remember with Modern Warfare 2 when games were host based?
Oh yes, I think I
Yeah,
remember that. Yep, yep.
could you imagine anyone ever doing that now with an online game?
No way. Yeah, no, that wouldn't work.
But but it still
Not right now.
happens is the
Yeah, yeah,
problem. And
yeah.
it's just like no guys, you can't do that.
Yep.
I know it's I know it's expensive to for the infrastructure, but
Yeah,
nobody gonna want to play your host based game anymore.
yeah.
Yeah, but uh no, yeah, like it's nuts, but at the same time I feel like I feel like you're starting to see you're kind of starting to see like the wall crumble down a bit,
Hmm.
where it's like people from the top are finally looking back down and going like, well, okay, there are these smaller companies making games for players who have been wishing the same stuff from us for years. Like, what are they doing that's so different that we can't do at least?
Right, right.
And you kind of see that openness to at least explore it with Arxis and them implementing rollback into Guilty Gear Strive.
Yep.
I'm I don't. I still don't really know what's going to be happening with Strive right now. Anyways, I'm still pretty excited for that game, but we'll just have to see
Yeah.
when that game drops. But
Yeah, as of right now, I don't even think the servers are up for me to even try them in its current state. So like, I think they've been like getting them ready for like early access
mhm.
stuff in the next couple days. So like, I'll get to see what it's like then.
Okay.
So that'll be cool.
So I was actually curious, since this is a good way to segue into Guilty Gear Strive.
Mhm.
From what you've been playing so far, like what's your initial impression that you get?
Okay. So when did you say this was going up? Actually, because depending on when it's going up, I can probably say more.
Uh,
If you don't have a plan for it, then that's cool. If you're like
well,
if you don't have a
this
specific
one,
date yet.
I kind of want to just get up as soon as possible. So
Okay.
probably
All
by
right.
today or tomorrow.
Oh, okay, cool. So,
Yeah.
all right, I know. All right, I know people have different schedules for podcasts, so I won't say much. Um, the only things I guess I can really say are about the characters specifically,
Hmm.
and kind of what's been in the beta. Um, so like, I enjoyed the beta a lot. It seems it seems that I like the direction they're going in. I think some people are so used to the hyper. It's a lot slower than like the other Guilty Gear games. It's drastically more like focused from my experience.
Hmm.
And again, we noticed that from the beta. I did get to play both tests at some point. Um, and I really like it. I like the new characters that they've added in there. Giovanna is really cool. She's this rush down type of fighter. She's got this like wolf thing with her. She's a fun because she can just get up in your face and just boom 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 boom. You know, that's kind of what the whole rush down thing is about really.
Hmm.
And so I think she is one of my more favorite characters to use. But yeah, it's been good so far. I'm enjoying it a lot, and I'm okay with the changes they made. I know there's a lot of people who are probably purists and want it more like Zerd and stuff like that, and more like the originals. They definitely changed kind of the controls and some of the inputs. Like I think I think R1 or yeah, so R1 was I think that was originally like the Dust Strike or whatever. I forget what the name of the. I think it was like the Dust Attack, or whatever.
Yeah,
But
it
now
was.
it's also like a grab now, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh,
I remember that.
yeah, and so it's interesting to like that being one of the changes is interesting. Some of the characters, man, you can just do damage, and it's so insane. Like you can take large chunks of health out. Like, and I guess that reminds me of like the street, you know, like the days of like Zangief and stuff like that. Because I'm thinking of like Potemkin and everything.
I was
Like
gonna
that dude
say,
can,
yeah, like
like that
I
dude can take
haven't.
out half a health bar in like in like almost one move. It's
Yeah,
insane.
like I've been intentionally trying to avoid Strive content right now because I
Right,
kind
right.
of want to go into the release fresh.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I knew you were going to be handling the article for Strive. As jealous as I
yeah,
am, but not important.
yeah.
But yeah, like just seeing people go like, man, I'm afraid of Potemkin, and I'm going like, that
Woo,
makes no
yeah.
sense because Potemkin wasn't that big of a threat in Exard.
Oh,
Um,
he's dirty. You can get real
yeah,
dirty with him in this one.
yeah, like, uh, and I think that's the thing. That comparison you just brought up, where it's like,
uh,
it feels a lot like Street Fighter Two, whereas
I would
Zangief.
compare it a lot to Grand Blue as far as like what kind of game it is.
Hmm.
Like you know, like but yes, like the Zangief like feels like they made Potemkin more along the lines of like a Zangief type because you can just mess up a whole health bar within a couple of moves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it basically like like I think they changed it already, but going off the first beta test, there was essentially a chain you could do where it was pretty much just like a two like a 2 to 3 hit combo that goes into Potemkin Buster, and it's like 75%.
Yes, I don't think it's that extreme anymore, but yes,
Right.
I've had stuff. I'd have stuff because like some fights. Well, let's see. So like I don't know. I think it depends on the character too. So like some of the characters they can just deal a lot more damage in a shorter amount of time. So it's like oh, I forget the new guy, the black like samurai guy.
Oh,
I forget his name.
Nagori Yuki, or
Yes, Nagoro Yuki. Yes.
or I think people are going by Nagori, just to shorten it.
Yes. Okay, yeah, Nagori, yeah. So that dude that he's dangerous too because I his character is fascinating because he doesn't have a dash, like everybody else does.
Hmm.
So like I mean, he has like an attack you can do that will like warp him forward a bit, or he has a sword attack that he'll do this like phase where or it'll be like this thing to where like he'll do this like after image that'll do like more of a forward motion with a sword swing. So like that dude's nuts because like he's totally defense based. Like you're not gonna move very much, but he has long reach. The reach he has is insane. So it's
Mm.
like it's one of those things. So like for a character like Giovanna or Chip Zaneth to get close to him, you got to be really good at defense and like dodging attacks and like because that dude's if he takes a swing at you, he's gonna get you if you're not careful. So he's really fun to use. I got fought against him plenty of times, but then when I actually controlled him, I realized I'm like, oh, he doesn't have a dash, and so I was like, okay, well, I got to play really defensive now, and so he's a super fun character to use as well.
Yeah, like it sounded like Nagori Yuki, while not necessarily a counter type character,
Uh,
it's kind of the thing where like you're essentially just trying to play neutral for the most part with him, and
yes, yeah,
just waiting for your opponent to mess up, and
yes,
then you just get
yes,
big damage off of them.
yes. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, and I think
Mhm.
that goes into his blood mechanic, which
Yeah,
while it is extremely frightening, at the same time there have been plenty of self wipeouts from people just not understanding the mechanic and just basically bleeding themselves to death, as it were.
I haven't figured it out myself quite yet
Hmm.
either. But like I understand on a very simplistic level what it's supposed to do, but like that's one of those parts of him that I haven't quite figured out yet. But I love his playstyle so far. From what from what I remember, especially like from what I've played and then just from beta stuff. So yeah, like I was trying to like I was almost gonna mention some of the arcade stuff, but I'm like I don't think I can mention any of that. I
Oh
mean, just
yeah, no, 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 no. Yeah.
I want to. Oh yeah, because I almost mentioned how like something about the arcade mode, but then I was like, no, I better not talk about that.
Yeah.
But I love the presentation of the game. I wish the like the like intro to each fight was shorter. Like you can skip it, but it does that whole like monologue at the beginning of every fight, and I'm like, yeah, I know, heaven and
Oh
hell, that's
yeah.
fun. Let's go.
Yeah, kind
Um,
of a la NetherRealm.
yeah, but like they're even it feels even longer than NetherRealm games though, like because even before the characters walk up, it does this monologue that's like and it shows like the bird flying into the stage and stuff
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
So
That's right. Right. I
yeah,
remember now.
and so it's really cool seeing those characters like encounter each other, and just kind of like walk up to each other. It looks amazing. Like it's one of those things like Arc System Works. Every time they put out a game, it looks amazing, but then somehow they outdo themselves. I don't understand how they do it, but
Yeah, cuz
they did.
what was it? Like first there was Dragon Ball Fighters,
Mhm.
and that game, or rather first there was Guilty Gear Xrd Sign,
Yes.
and that looked amazing.
Yeah.
And then Dragon Ball came out, and that was pretty amazing.
Mhm.
Um, and then and then they did Grand Blue,
Yes.
which was just like oh my goodness, that's almost astounding.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like
It looks like
you
the
were starting
anime.
to see details that I was just like, man, I did not think muscles could be that toned on a person,
Yeah. Yeah.
or even like to a slightly more suggestive degree. Man, I did not realize you could put that many details on a woman's armpit, but there you go with Fairy. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
just like where it's just like, yeah, like it really does seem like they're pushing the envelope a lot, and it's
Mm.
mainly because
Yeah.
yeah, they're getting better and better.
Yeah.
And I think that Dungeon Fighter Online game that they're working on right now
Oh
too,
yes.
that's just like it's upping the envelope really.
I loved me some Dungeon Fighter back in the day. I can't believe that's still an IP that's around. But yeah, like the presentation of Guilty Gear is so cool because I didn't know that. Apparently, I don't know if this is the case for like any of the like all the other like some of the other redesigns, but I found out that I guess whoever did the art or helped make Ruby
Hmm.
designed Ino or Ino, however you say her name. Apparently, I guess they helped on the redesign of that character.
Oh
So I'm
really?
like,
Okay.
and now that I'm seeing it, like it feels like the game is partially taking some. Like, I don't know. To me, it feels like the presentation is maybe taking some inspirations from that from Ruby a little bit. I mean, I know that they inserted characters into like Blaze Blue cross tag and stuff like that, but like it's the presentation is amazing. Like I'm you they're I think they could totally do like if they wanted to ever do a movie eventually. I think they could totally do like a movie.
Oh man,
um,
that's like so much money required, but at this point they
yeah,
probably could do
they're
that.
they're not far off. I think from what they got now, but I really would love them to like going off of the whole Ruby stuff. I wonder if they're. This tells me like I wonder if they're working hard to get the rights to a Ruby like video game, like to do a fighting game, because I would love that too.
Mm,
Um, it,
yeah.
it it just looks so good. Like I like the redesign of some of the characters and just the effects and everything. Uh, I think they had this in the beta, but you can hide the pause menu, which is cool.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like that's how they're
they
getting around for their camera mode, right?
yes. Well, yeah, it's not like you can do anything with it, but
Oh
like
okay.
I know some fighting games in the day have had this to where you can just hide the pause menu.
Hmm.
And so for me, that's how I took a couple shots during the beta was of some of those victory poses and such, and like of some of the like in shot motions like that feature alone is going to help me get some good screenshots for the review. So it's a beautiful looking game. I'm
Yeah,
looking
definitely.
forward to like talking about it more and whenever it's out in the wild.
Meanwhile, you got all these you got all these broke opinions on Twitter going like, when's the One Piece Arxis fighting game?
Yeah.
When's the My Hero Academia Arxis fighting game? Meanwhile, me with my big brain going, when's the Sailor Moon Arxis fighting game?
Oh, that would be even better because like
Cause you
Bandai
know
Namco
what?
already beat down those franchises bad enough. I think with some of those games that they're making,
Yeah,
but Sailor Moon would be a great one to do. I think.
you and they should do it because it's
Mm,
like come on, it basically writes itself. Like
yeah.
like I'm already seeing like supers for those
Hmm.
characters already, and it's just like
Yeah.
yes, you should do it.
Yep.
Like don't do it for these current big anime franchises that don't need help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do it for a franchise
Yeah.
that matters.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Or you know what? I don't know. Like just like if we really want to pull out the big guns, like I think an Arxis Berserk fighting game or a Platinum Berserk game would fit that bill
A
just as well.
Berserk would be crazy. I think that would be really cool. Yeah.
But anyway, that's enough speculation.
Yeah. Yeah, Guilty Gear. I think Strive is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to what that does. Like, Arxis has been, I feel like they've been a huge blessing to the fighting game community just because they've found a way to make them accessible for people to enjoy them. Like, I talk to so many people that are just so intimidated by fighting games, but like over the years they figured out how to walk the line between accessibility and something for veterans as well. So like they've been super beneficial to the community, I think.
Yeah, and I mean like I don't think any game in recent years I think exemplifies that more than Dragon Ball FighterZ coming out. Like when that came out, when that went forget coming out, when that trailer dropped at E3, everyone was popping off. Like
I about lost my mind. I'm like, what is this? Like, it's like a dream come true. Marvel vs. Capcom style gameplay with my favorite franchise. Actually, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is probably one of my top 5 favorite games of all time. So when I saw that being brought into one of my favorite like shows of all time, I'm like, it was like that Vince McMahon like meme where he's going like I was just like, yes. Yeah. I was so stoked when I saw that.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. Like it's kind of crazy too where I think like people were going like, oh man, BB Tag is probably like their best game, and it's like, no, it's clearly Dragon Ball FighterZ. Like you can't fight that.
BB Tag on Switch. I need to play more of it.
Yeah, like BB Tag, I think is like a step in the right direction in terms of like in terms of like that sort of like beginners fighting game.
Yes.
That Dragon Ball was, but more on the technical side. Like like if you were to combine sort of the pop off of Dragon Ball FighterZ with something like BB Tag and put them together, that would be like the next big thing for them to do. Which is why
like we're also due
an Arxis Sailor Moon game makes them anyway. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
No, it's cool. I feel like I feel like we're due for another Persona Arena game, especially with 5. Yeah. I feel like we're due for another one. I mean, Persona 5 Arena would be sick.
Yeah, I mean, even I'd agree. Like as much as been over Persona 4 with the oversaturation of content that game got.
Oh yeah.
I have like I can't front. Persona 4 Arena was really good.
Yeah,
it was just like game's fun. It was super easy to get into. Like,
oh yeah.
Like when I picked it up, and was fighting against people, I was pretty much just like, okay, I don't really know what to do. Oh wait, okay, light medium, then the dismiss. Oh, now I have my whole game plan for this character. In like a matter of an hour or so.
That's cool.
And
that's another thing too. I'll say is that I struggled with a long time to like try playing fighting games online. I was so intimidated because games like Marvel vs. Capcom, you're just gonna get like rolled on like in one shot.
Yeah.
But like, it wasn't until like Tekken 7 whenever I decided I'm like, you know what, I should be getting into these games online because that's where they're thriving now.
Yeah.
So once I did that, then whenever I got like BlazBlue, I actually understood BlazBlue enough to where like I think I can hold my own. And my main was like one of the DLC, one of the first like season pass characters. Like, um, and it like, and it's Arc System Works is making these games accessible for people like myself to actually be able to play online as well, which is cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mm.
I will. I definitely agree that Arc System Works is doing like probably like the best job out of the entire bunch.
Mm.
And honestly, it's just kind of awesome seeing
Mm.
what was relatively a small studio
Yeah,
among the giants kind of
yeah,
succeeding so well,
yeah.
pulling off some of the most insane like collaborations
Mm.
ever. Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really happy for them too, cause like
Yeah.
well, I didn't really know the studio super well. Like I was pretty much I pretty much had followed them since like they were helping with like publishing Melted
Yeah.
Blood and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then like learning about
Under Night's cool too. I
yeah
played a little bit of Under
yeah Under
Night.
Night in Birth, learning about the Fist of the North Star fighting game, that that stupid broken fighting game.
Oh, there was a fight. There was a Fist of North Star fighting game.
Yeah,
Wow, I didn't know about that.
yeah, and it's broken. It's super broken.
Wow.
There's a like every character has their own form of infinite.
Oh wow.
There are so many clips online on YouTube that you can just look
I'll
up.
check that
Like
out.
all you have to do is look up Arxis HNK combos to
Okay.
just see some of the most silliest like basically Harlem Globetrotters almost nonsense going on. Like
Oh, that's such a great
yeah,
description.
like you want to talk about broken. Like I think like I think you could get a total of like 5 or 7 ground bounces in that game
Wow.
before it even resets, and then you just switch to
That blows my
aerial
mind.
infinite.
Dang.
There's like a famous one where someone got caught in an infinite and early in the match and basically timed out. He did the infinite to timeout. That's how broken that
Oh,
is.
wow.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's
But
that's
that game's
hardcore.
still fun. It's great. But yeah. Oh, and I guess I we still have some time if you're good on time too.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I kind of knew about this game, but didn't have a ton of information on it. Hang on 1 second. Let me just put that in our Discord.
Okay.
Yeah, I just put it in. If you want to look at
Okay,
that
yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is actually really cool. So
Barbarian. Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
Varvarian uh, is an indie fighting game. It's like a 3D arena fighter.
Okay.
Kind of like Naruto Shippuden.
I'm looking at it now.
Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, the develop like it's only a single developer who's been working on it this whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, I just went back on their Twitter real quick. But yeah, like his first trailer was back in November 6th of last year. Um
Okay.
if this is just his work alone, he's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, so one game we actually didn't really mention about with Arxis was Kill la Kill. And this is giving me straight up Kill la Kill vibes, like
Yeah,
from the way that game played.
it's very similar to that.
Hmm. Which is also a really good game from what I've played.
Yeah.
This
Um
looks cool.
yeah, unfortunately doesn't really seem to be much more else about when that's supposed to be coming out, but
Right. That was on the Gorilla Collective stuff, I
yeah,
guess today.
but I think there was a tweet or a comment somewhere where he said he would try to get a working beta out
Hmm.
relatively soon.
Oh,
Um,
cool. That'd be cool to have like a demo or something or a beta. Yeah.
yeah, and then I don't know if you've actually heard of this one. There's another game uh, that seems to be close to done called Corrupt. Have you heard about
I
this
have
game before?
not. I have not. It might sound familiar. It sounds like it could be familiar. Did it just get announced, or has it
No,
been around for a while?
yeah, this has been around for a while too.
Okay.
But yeah, like
Oh, okay.
basically Street Fighter 5 like in presentation and everything.
Okay.
But yeah, like the
Ooh, I dig the music.
I think this is also a single developer too.
Okay.
Been working on it for a really long time too. Um,
Hmm.
Relatively small roster, but even then, it's just like it seems to be
So
really solid.
the
Promises to
thing with
use
fighting
GGPO
games,
netcode too.
that's cool. The thing with fighting games I've realized is that just because you have a big roster doesn't mean that it's good. You know, like I love how like a lot of games they've kind of downsized some of the rosters.
Yeah.
Like then, like back in the day when Marvel vs. Capcom came out, that was the thing. Like I feel like a lot of games were like, oh yeah, we need to have the biggest roster we can. But like now, it just feels like there's so much love I'm seeing that's been being put into each individual character.
Hmm.
So I really love that about these games lately.
Yeah.
But like even Guilty Gear doesn't have a very massive roster. Like what we saw in the beta is there, you know, like
Yeah.
so that looks super cool.
I think what's
I'm
awesome
looking forward to
too.
that.
There's actually one more game I actually need to show you. I just remembered.
Oh,
But I think what's really awesome too. At least when it comes to these indie fighting games, is like now it seems like there's a lot of people who have started to become more emboldened um, of just like at least giving their shot. Um, and
hmm
you're starting to see like you're starting to see like a lot more movement going on in the indie scene, especially
hmm
with these niche genres,
yeah,
and just kind of going like, yeah, it might be tough, it might be excruciating, but um, like these people are executing their dreams, and that's kind of a wonderful
yeah,
thing.
hmm
And to the point where it's like it doesn't matter what kind of form your game takes, whether it's
hmm
going for hyper realism or a more stylized version.
yeah,
Uh, you know, like that. That's how you can still enjoy games like
hmm
Fight of Animals,
yeah.
is which is really silly looking, but gameplay's good and
Yeah, I
people
was gonna
will
say it looks like it plays well. It's on sale on Steam now.
yeah, and people will play
Um,
what works. So
yeah.
this is actually another game that I just learned about, but then I went to follow the guy's Twitter, and it turned out I
hmm
was already following him, and I was just like, oh no. Uh,
Oh, this looks cool.
yeah, so Blazing Strike is a game inspired by like the old classics,
I feel like I
more
may have
more
heard of
like
this
Fatal
one
Fury.
before,
Yeah,
but yeah.
yeah, closer to Fatal Fury, but kind of
Mhm.
has like a
Yeah,
Street
you
Fighter
can see the
Three kind of
influences
looking.
right away.
Yeah, but this looks really cool. Wow, that roster looks
Yeah.
big, too. Goodness, man, that's crazy too. 4 button system,
Mhm.
light, medium,
Oh,
heavy.
so the fascinating thing about like Ryu and Chun Li, when you mentioned the 4 button things in
Yeah,
Power Rangers, is that they play like their Marvel vs. Capcom 3 counterpart.
yeah, they do. That was crazy. I was just like when I heard about that, I was just like, oh my goodness, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
why change it? Just do that. It works.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the indie space is cool. I think of like them's fighting herds, and it's like I do not care one iota about My Little Pony, but when I saw them's fighting herds, I was like, this looks awesome. And so I ended up writing their preview for that whenever that first went into early access, and I liked it. So like, and it's cool to see like the indie space like handle fighting games now.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and like fighting games is kind of enjoying like yet another yet another kind of renaissance again, due to the pandemic and people going online and just being like,
Yeah.
man, like all these new fighting games look nice, but I don't know, like I kind of want something with a good online experience, and
Hmm.
stuff like Kylera, uh,
Mm.
Parsec, even Fightcade, kind of stepping in and just being like, "Hey, we've been existing. Like, if you're willing to learn, if you're willing
Yeah.
to learn how to mess with your computer, we can solve that problem for you."
Yeah.
Um, I've personally enjoyed like a few random. Oh shoot, what's the name of that game again? Is it Martial Arts Masters? No. Oh no. I've lost the game. I'm gonna have to look that up again. But yeah,
No worries.
I was enjoying some random matches too with like Vampire Savior, um,
Oh yeah.
King of Fighters, Rumblefish. I found a working ROM of Rumblefish for that matter, which is crazy. Now if only it could be extended to like some of those PS2 games that were working as well, and then being able
Hmm.
to play like Bloody Roar again or something.
Oh, I miss Bloody Roar.
Yeah.
Two franchises I would love new versions of would be Bloody Roar and definitely like you mentioned Vampire Savior. I think Darkstalkers is low key like one of my favorite like fighting games also. Like I would love if they made like a new one in the style of like Street Fighter 5 or something and brought like a horror like aesthetic to that more so. Like that would be so sick.
Yeah. I think it was always like like genuinely a missed opportunity that all those redone Capcom remasters
Hmm.
never came to PC. I was just like,
Right, right.
that's
I mean,
such a shame.
the last time I played it, they had like a collection on PSP or something, and then I think they had a port of on PS3 or something. But like,
Yeah.
I remember playing a lot of Darkstalkers like from that PSP version and old ROMs back in the day and stuff. So it's like I would love a new one.
Oh no, yeah, definitely. Like literally Capcom, if you're listening, I would
Yep.
literally pay full price to get Darkstalkers Resurrection, Third Strike
Yes.
Online,
Ooh.
uh what was the other one? Oh, Marvel vs. Capcom Origins
Yeah.
and Marvel 2.
Oh, I
Like
will pay any amount of
like
money for
straight
Marvel
up.
2.
Yes.
I'm
Those four
close to
games, that's
buying a
over $100
PS3 again for
already.
Marvel 2. Yeah, yeah. Because I had Marvel 2 on PS3. I played so much of it, and so it's like if I can just re-download that, like I'll totally buy an old PS3 again somewhere.
Mhm. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Thankfully, not they're not getting rid of online the online
Yeah.
store anymore. Oh my goodness. Just
Yeah.
man. And Derek's really been appreciating that too, because
Hmm.
now he's been going through the PS3 library,
Yeah, he's been
on
playing all the
his
Tales games and stuff.
yeah, continuing his JRPG run.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just realized. So you had a Dreamcast when you were younger, right?
Hmm.
Did you ever play Techromancer?
Mm-mm.
Okay,
I gotta look this up.
yeah, Techromancer. You gotta look up because that was a 3D fighting game by Capcom as well.
I did play some stuff on there, but not like a ton.
Yeah, yeah, but Techromancer was a 3D fighting game with giant mecha, and it was awesome. I I don't know if I'd say that game played very well, but it was just fun to play. I didn't care.
Let's see here. I'm definitely gonna look that up. Okay, yeah. I'm seeing this. I definitely did not get to play that one. That looks
Oh
super
man,
cool.
that's a shame. Yeah,
Um,
Tech Romancer is a good time. But yeah, I think we're starting to wind down now.
that's cool.
But
Yeah.
I guess we'll just end it off. But with like, are there any other? Are there any games that you're looking forward to? And is there any uh, future fighting game that you'd be looking forward to?
Oh gosh, I'm really not sure in the fighting game space. Like, I'm really not sure what's on the horizon for that. Like, as far as like, I mean, Guilty Gear is kind of the recent one, but yeah, I'm just looking forward to some stuff later down the road, like Deathloop and stuff like that this fall.
Oh
The
yeah, that's
summer's
right.
looking the summer's looking pretty light, like as far as like July and August
Hmm.
for me. Like, I can't really think of too much that's coming out like soon. I mean, I know there's a bunch of indie stuff. I would have to like look through a list, but yeah, I'm just excited to enjoy that. And then yeah, that's kind of it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything else really coming out yet that I'm super excited for, except for Deathloop. I'm usually keeping my ear to the ground when it comes to like indie games for the most part, but Deathloop
Right,
really
right.
looks interesting.
Hmm.
I think I think there was something else. I forget though, but yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Scarlet Nexus is one that I'm also looking forward to.
Oh yeah,
Looking
true.
forward to.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I want to say I want to give up on that, but I've pretty much bought every other type of game that uh, Bandai Namco has released for that type of for that genre,
Yeah,
so I'm probably gonna get it
yeah,
anyway. Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, that'll wrap up this press turn fighting game special. Um, and LJ, thanks for coming on. And
Yeah,
if you want to just go ahead and plug real quick.
yeah, for sure. It's been great to geek out with you over some fighting games. But yeah, you can all of you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at WarHeroLJ, all lowercase. I post a lot of gameography stuff and post a lot of my reviews when they come out and stuff like that. And so I also stream on Friday nights, twitch.tv/Geeks Under Grace. So and then we have the podcast as well, like I mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's it.
Okay. And I'll make sure to have those in the description below as well.
Cool.
Uh, but that'll be it. And thanks for coming by, guys. We'll catch you later.